Welcome everyone. Today's video is going to be another statistics video. It's not going to be deep statistics. Just wanted to open up a conversation, have some fun today. But before that, I wanted to update you. We've been having meetings, stakecardano.io, and we've been trying to decide our stake pool operator fees for all those who don't understand how this is going to work. At no particular point in time will you be sending anyone in my pool or anyone in the Cardano ecosystem your ADA. Once the second snapshot happens, you'll have an opportunity to download the testnet. And once you download that testnet and enter your seed words, similar to what happened in the Cardano first snapshot, it may be the same interface, it may be actually the same download, we're not sure yet. But after you do that, you'll be able to access your testnet ADA. And there will be an option where you can create a rewards wallet where your rewards will go, and you'll have the option to delegate to a pool. How the pools work is you delegate to said pool and they charge a pool operator fee, which is a standard fee. All the ADA that you earn as rewards, it's automatically distributed after the fee. So it's not like we click a button and say, here are your rewards. It's automatically distributed. Whatever pool fee set by the operator, that's going to be the percentage that that pool takes. There's no entry fee to stake to any pool. You just go and stake. There's no entry fee to stake Cardano. You could stake with 1 ADA or you can stake with 1 million. It doesn't matter. So we've been discussing our operator fees. I believe we have a good idea of what we're going to charge. I don't want to release it yet, but please note that it's going to be very competitive. We had a long talk. We tried to crunch out some statistics, did some back of the envelope calculations, and we will be a competitive pool. I think that you'll be more than happy with our stake pool operator fee, considering the level of services that we provide. So I'll make that apparent in future videos. But with that being said, I'm going to jump over to this Excel document. And today's video is titled Cardano's Paradiso. The reason why I called this video Cardano's Paradiso is actually an inspiration from Dantes' trilogy. If you've ever read Dantes' books, I read them a while back in college. Dantes' Inferno, Dantes' Purgatorio, and Dantes' Paradiso. So it's like these 3 series of books, and when you read these books, they're crazy. I don't know what kind of drugs he was on, but he was definitely rolling on some pills, or, you know, it was back in the early days, so I don't even know if they had pills, but some powerful psychedelic to write this. It's a very descriptive novel, and each book, Purgatorio, Paradiso, and Inferno, it describes a layered system. So like Paradiso is all about the layers of heaven, and each subsequent layer, as you're getting closer to the apex, it becomes better and better. And as you fall from layer to layer, it represents sins of humanity, and you're pretty much trying to work your way up from layer to layer. And then Purgatorio is like the middle ground where people like are stuck in limbo and they haven't reached Paradiso yet. And then Inferno is like analogous to hell in the 7 layers, and there's all these sort of demons, and it's a very interesting read, especially when you think about what century these novels were being written in and the level of fear that probably humanity was undergoing during these particular times. But very interesting. But I thought that this would be an interesting spin-off. So I wanted to create our own version of Dantes' Paradiso, because we're in Cardano, so it's not Purgatorio or it's not Inferno, it's Paradiso. So this video is called Cardano's Paradiso. So I layered the systems. I created my own layered systems to describe wallet address holdings and basically talk about the rich list. And I thought this would be interesting because in cryptocurrency, people always refer to statuses of wallets and statuses of individuals as either whales or like little fish. And if you have whale status, you represent someone that holds a lot of cryptocurrency and are doing very well, and you're wealthy. And, you know, as you drop down, you become a smaller and smaller fish, maybe a dolphin, I don't know. And then you become a minnow or a plankton, I don't know. It's interesting. This Paradiso, Cardano's Paradiso, is going to be a little bit different. I broke it down into the planets. So I broke it down into the planets, starting with our star in our solar system, the sun, went down to Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And I could have included Pluto, but I did not include Pluto. Pluto is not considered a planet anymore. It was a planet, then it wasn't a planet, then I heard it was a planet again, and then its status was removed again. Right now it's considered a dwarf planet. The first bucket is God tier status. There are about 4 address holders in this bucket. People may say, why are you including these addresses? Because one of them includes IOHK, probably another Binance. They have over a billion ADA, and they probably shouldn't be included in the averages. But that's why I put them at God tier status. I don't think any individual owns over a billion ADA. These are company wallets like IOHK, which will be divvied up amongst a couple individuals, including the C-suite. But as far as billion ADA status for a single individual, I don't think that exists. But I went on adascan.net, took those 4 averages and averaged them out. So the average is 1,743,401,475 ADA in that bucket. God tier status, so it exists outside our solar system. The next bucket in the Cardano Paradiso is the sun. And the sun is our main star in our solar system. It provides all the light for all the planets, and ultimately it's the source of life. So the sun in this status is where we start seeing some individuals with some very large holdings, and this is between 100 million and 1 billion ADA. I took the averages of the ADA in each bucket, so this is the second layer of Cardano's Paradiso. And the average ADA in those buckets is 277,528,207.31 ADA. This is a staggering amount. One thing that I wanted to ask, I know I have a small niche channel here and I appreciate all the viewership. And I say small niche because cryptocurrency is a small niche and we haven't reached that mass adoption status yet. But I'm very interested to hear about who these 14 addresses are, that 100 million to 1 billion. Are there any addresses outside of maybe the C-suite, maybe outside of the big players in the Cardano ecosystem, whether that be Charles or Jeremy Wood or any of the other individuals that probably have large subsidiary wallets? I wanted to know whether or not the other addresses consisted of maybe some of the Japanese ICO investors. But what I'm really interested to hear is outside of Japan, outside of the ICO investors, let's take the US for example, are there any US investors? And I know they're probably not watching this video because this is just a simple YouTube video. I don't think they would be wasting their time here, but are there any ADA holders that are within this status that were outside of the ICO? Because given that, they invested a large amount of money into this project. I mean, the average price when ADA first hit market was around 2 cents, but I don't think you could buy 100 million or 500 million or 277 million ADA without bumping up the price significantly. So I'm sure that even if you tried to catch it at the bottom, your average DCA would probably not be at 2 cents, probably be much higher. And that means that there are individuals that may have invested tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars, if not even more, not even 9 figures. I mean, you never know at some point. And it'd be interesting to see if whether or not anyone outside of that ICO actually holds that status. Well, that's the second layer. That's the second layer of Cardano's Paradiso. I'm going to move on to the third layer. The third layer is the first planet within the solar system. It takes light about 3 minutes, I believe, to reach the first planet. It's Mercury. And all the Mercury planet holders or Mercury planet ADA holders hold an average of 20,821,561 ADA. And this is the bucket between 10 million and 100 million. This is the minority, of course. There are only 169 address holders, and they are doing very well because that is a substantial amount of ADA holdings. And it's very interesting to see. And the reason why it's also separated by planets is because light takes a certain amount of time to reach each planet. Every subsequent planet takes light a little bit longer to reach because of the distance from the sun. So Mercury, it takes around 3 minutes for light to reach the planet. And the closer you are to the sun in Cardano's Paradiso means that the next time the bull market or the bull alt run happens, your wallets are going to increase the first because the light's going to reach you first. And if we 10x, your money's going to 10x pretty rapidly. It's going to look pretty healthy. So that's very interesting. The fourth layer of Cardano's Paradiso is Venus. Venus is between 1 million and 10 million ADA. There are around 3,127 address holders, and the average is 2,428,719. And you may say, why does it look like this? I had to take some assumptions, so I used adascan.net, and since there are 3,127 address holders and there's only a Cardano 1000 rich list, I was only able to extrapolate the data for a few individuals. So instead, I took the averages of the second layer and the third layer of Cardano's Paradiso, the Sun and Mercury layer, found the average and used that as the percentage for the top part of that bin. So for the first assumption, I took the Sun layer, I took 277,528,207 divided that by 1 billion, around 27%, and 20 million is around 20 to 21% of that top layer, 100 million. So using that, I averaged those. So the average is around 24% of that top bin. So I just took that top bin of 10 million and multiplied it by 0.242 and got 2,428,719 and 12 cents. Once again, if you're on the planets of Mercury and Venus, the next alt bolt run will treat you well. It takes light roughly 6 minutes to reach Venus, and there are around 3,127 wallet holders. And once again, this is not 100% accurate because there are a lot of very wealthy people that are splitting up their addresses into multiple different addresses. You can't assign one address to one particular person. So this video is done in fun. So anyway, the fifth layer of Cardano's Paradiso is Earth, our planet. So I thought this was very fitting because most of us are living on Earth. I say most of us because some people are mentally checked out on this planet. But Earth is where we want to be. And that's between 100K and 1 million ADA. There are about 21,447 addresses within this area. The average ADA in that bucket is 242,871. So you're doing very well if you're on Earth. It's a very hospitable environment. Life exists, and at some point, I think it takes 7 or 8 minutes for light to reach Earth from the sun. So the next alt bolt run will treat you very well as well. The sixth layer is Mars, and Mars is also a great planet. Mars, the average bucket would be 24,287. It's between 10K and 100K. 65,856 address holders within these buckets. And I'd like to say that billions of years ago, the sun was actually a lot brighter. The luminosity was a lot higher. And Earth and Mars were in the Goldilocks zone. If you're not familiar with the Goldilocks zone, it's the ideal distance a planet is from its sun in order to sustain lifelike conditions. So Mars was actually within that Goldilocks zone at some point. That's why people are searching for water within Mars, and you have these underground water caverns and everything like that. Once it moved kind of outside of the Goldilocks zone, the atmosphere completely evaporated. Venus was in the same kind of situation, actually, before it just got singed. So planets have to be a certain distance away from their star in order to sustain lifelike conditions. And Mars at one point had those lifelike conditions. And if you read about what lies in store for the sun in the future, it's actually going to, before the sun loses its life and just completely explodes, we're going to have some issues with the sun expanding towards its end of its life. And towards the end of its life, the sun's going to increase in size before it just completely obliterates everything. And while it's increasing in size, all the water on Earth is going to be burned up and evaporated, and Earth will look like a dead planet in the future. I mean, this is probably a billion years off, but it's going to happen. And during that time of expansion, Mars may get into that Goldilocks zone again. So there may be some brief moment in time where Mars is kind of Earth-like again. So that would be interesting. So I think that you can be, I digress, but I think you can be on Mars and you can be doing very, very, very well. So don't be dissuaded. If you're on the first 4 planets of the solar system in Cardano's Paradiso, I think you're doing well. And not saying if you're under that, you're not doing well either. If you're in the solar system, you're doing well. So Mars is between 10K and 100K. The average holding is 24,287, about 65,000 addresses. Then there's Jupiter. Jupiter is the next layer in Cardano's Paradiso, and it has between 1K and 10K, and the average is 2,428 ADA. Then we have Saturn, 242 ADA, Uranus, 24 ADA, Neptune, 2 ADA. So each planet represents a layer in Cardano's Paradiso. If you're in the solar system, you're doing well. The only things that are not doing well are people probably on Pluto, the dwarf planet, that's not considered. And I consider that all the Lovelace. So if you have Lovelace, I don't want to hate on anyone, but it's kind of worthless because one Lovelace, how much is that worth, really? But you do what you can. You do what you can. So I did also a small graph of ADA buckets, and you see a majority of the holders, or the most number of address hodlers. And one address doesn't really correspond to one person, so this video is not really accurate. But the bucket is 4. So if you go to 4, you're at Jupiter. So I think that if you're on planet Jupiter, all the way up to God tier status, I think you're doing well. And if you go to Jupiter right now and you see the 1K to 10K ADA, how much does that cost in real time? 1K ADA, I don't know, what is that, $40? 10K ADA, I don't know, $400. Cryptocurrency is a speculative asset, and none of this is financial advice. You put in what you can afford to lose at the end of the day. That's what's important. You put in what you can afford to lose. But most people in Western countries can maybe afford to put throw a few dollars at speculative projects that they think that have some kind of promising future, and see, if the light's ever going to reach them. And the thing is, with the alt run status, if the next bull alt run, we're going to have light shining from the star, and once it's going to reach all the planets. So if you have an investment now and you hold for long enough, eventually the light will reach you, given that we reach our goals. So let me know how you liked this video. If you didn't like this video, if you thought it was BS, just let me know. So until the next video, all right, bye.